Hey sound nerds. Today we're going to talk about something a little bit different because, as you probably didn't know, it's my birthday. So I'm going to talk about something kind of close to my heart, which is the third pedal I ever bought. And it's not what you would expect. It's the Moog Microkorg MF-102 ring modulator. The band I was in at the time was pretty weird, is the explanation. Really great ring modulator, probably the best analog ring modulator in the world at this point, that you can get commercially, at least. Modulator section, mix knob, frequency knob, low and high switches the frequency ranges of this knob, so it goes from 0 to 80 hertz, and then from 30 hertz to 4000 hertz. So you've got a real nice range there. As you probably know, 20 hertz is the limit of human perception of a tone, so you've really got a lot of headroom. The LFO section has the amount knob, how much the LFO is affecting it. The rate knob, which goes from 0.1 to 25 hertz, and you've got a square wave and a sine wave. Again, tons of room to play with there. I can't imagine really any device that has more comprehensive controls like this, especially when you get back here. The most exciting part, 4 expression pedal inputs, 1 for each knob, except the drive knob, which we'll get into in a little bit. Audio in, audio out, carrier in, carrier out, which you need a whole complicated modular synthesizer setup to deal with that even at all. And LFO out, which is really cool because it means you can use it to power other pedals that have expression pedal inputs, such as what I'll be doing today, the MF-104M analog delay. I'll be putting it into the time slot and making some cool sounds there. I mentioned the drive knob. All of the Moog Microkorg pedals have this drive knob. It's a really subtle, just soft saturation. It's not going to it's not going to be distorting, but it's just like really nice warm saturation, and it's on even when the pedal is bypassed, so it can make it's a really nice way of gain staging your rig. To make sounds with instead of a guitar, because that would be weirder, I'm going to be playing the Korg Microkorg, a trusty synthesizer I've had since about 2004, 2005, 2006, somewhere around there, who knows. Great analog modeling synthesizer, by which I mean it models analog synthesizers. It's digital, compact, very sturdy. I've done some terrible things to this thing, and it's still with me, though missing a knob. My fault. Has a vocoder, really cool. I'm going to be using a really basic, warm, but simple synth sound to play this with. And hey, let's get to it. So I'm starting off today with a pretty simple sound on my Korg. Because I'm more interested in hearing what this sounds like today. So I'm starting off with the frequency at about 20 hertz, which, as you may know, is the limit of human perception, and mix all the way up so we can really hear what it sounds like. Before I kick it in, here's something to demonstrate. This is the drive knob. So it's active even when the pedal is bypassed, and you can see this level LED goes green, yellow, and red for how much it's clipping. The LFO LED, of course, flashes, I don't know if you can see that, flashes with the LED speed, and bypasses just red and green, bypassed or not. So you can still hear the pitch of the original note. 20 hertz is where a wave turns from a beat, where you can distinguish the individual sounds, the individual waves, into a frequency that we hear as a pitch. So if we go above this, I'll play that. It starts to turn into a pitch, and there it's about at 80 hertz. Whereas below that, you hear it very strongly as a beat. And then, of course, the high section of the frequency starts where that leaves off. And gets into real pitchy territory. That's where I played with this a lot when I was doing weird music with this pedal. Let's leave it at about 1K for now. And that's what it turns into really. It's not even the pitch content of the original sound. It has an effect on it, but it does not sound like it's that pitch. Actually, let's see how it sounds below 20 hertz. Because there it's kind of just kind of a tremolo. What a pretty tremolo, actually. That's actually very beautiful. It's a very beautiful sound. Alright, let's turn it up to a little bit over that. So we're starting to get the ring modulator sound and put it at about 7. And introduce the LFO. So I'll put the LFO amount all the way up so you can really hear the effects of it. The rate, I'll just put in the middle at about 1. That's about 100. It gets pretty cool. It gets pretty cool. Alright, I'm going to turn that up to 6.4. So you notice this goes up to 25 hertz, which is just over the edge of human perception of the wave. Let's see what it sounds like when they're both below that. When that's about at, let's say 6 hertz. You can see that flashing, and then this is at about, let's put this somewhere around the same way. It's almost hard to hear. Adds a subtle texture to it at that point. Okay, let's put it back high frequency. So it's really crushing it. It sounds great. So remember, now it's square wave. Versus the sine wave, which both have a very different sound to them. Alright, let's turn the mix down so it's more of a side effect. Put the amount of the LFO at about 5, about halfway. That feels like a good rate. Leave it on sine. So those are the basic functions of the MF-102 ring modulator. Now I'm going to get into what you can do with the back panel. So now we've got the Korg plugged through the Microkorg analog delay, which is then going out to the amp, while the Moog ring modulator, I'm just using its LFO out to go into the Microkorg analog delay's time expression input. I've tried it with a couple of the different ones, and this is the one that sounds the best, so I'm going to just show this to you really quickly. So here it is without it. Really beautiful analog delay. Now if I plug into the time slot, this LFO is controlling this time knob. So it's essentially as if I was, twisting it on my own, but it's automated. So you can hear it's making kind of weird rhythms with it. Switch to the sine wave. I think that might sound good really slow. So that's pretty cool. And you can do this, of course, with any pedal that has an expression input. If you have maybe a phaser that has a rate expression input, that would be really cool. All of these Moog reverbers have expression inputs all over the place. Anything that would use a treadle type pedal, like a volume pedal or a wah pedal, you could control with this using this LFO, and that's a pretty neat function. So that's the Moog ring modulator. I hope you enjoyed it. This is really great for getting some kooky sci-fi sounds. I used it a lot in the high frequency area to do like woo 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 kind of sounds. As I showed you, you can make a really nice tremolo out of it. Yeah, it's a great little pedal. Beautiful, solid construction, as all Moog things are. Also remember that you can use that LFO out to control anything with an expression pedal. I would love it going into a phaser with an expression pedal. Unfortunately, I don't have one here today to demonstrate that with. Like, if you can control the rate of the phaser with that, get something really subtle and like wet and lush. That'd be so neat. Okay, well, see you guys on the flip side. Before I finish up, I mentioned and demonstrated a little bit the lower frequency tremolo kind of abilities of the ring modulator, and I just thought I'd show you what that sounds like on a guitar. So here's the lower P90, and I've got it set to a pretty decent frequency, so I'm going to play with that for a little bit. So that's a really beautiful, lush, responsive tremolo. I wouldn't say you should get this pedal just for the tremolo function, but know that while the ring modulator aspect of it does have somewhat of a limited, narrow usage, it does have this incredibly useful, just beautiful musical tremolo inside of it